Hello, everybody. Welcome back to JRE in a nutshell, the only show online when we give you timestamps, opinions on the Joe Rogan experience. I'm your host, Rafa, and this week we have 5 amazing interviews, a little bit of everything. We have stand up comedians, we have political experts, we have UFO experts, we have COVID scientists, we have Native American animal historians. Crazy week, super amazing, full booking, five interviews, but all of them super cool. Now, don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell, and don't forget to stay until the end of the episode so you can watch the quote of the week. Thank you very much, and let's get started. So let's start with Dan Flores. Dan Flores is a historian that specializes on the ancient cultures of North America. So we have not only animals but also humans. So we have a lot of information on coyotes, wolves, and all these animals that lived back then. Also actually up to saber-toothed tigers, and they go way back in history, and how all of those animals came here and how they moved around the world, and also about people, how the people came at the beginning, Native Americans, and all that stuff. Super cool interview about history if you're into that. And even though I don't live in North America, but I found it pretty cool. So I think you're gonna enjoy it. I would give it 3.5 nuts. Also, the guy's pretty interesting and funny. So yeah, go and check it out. So, and now let's go to James Fox. For the UFO fans, this episode is gonna blow your mind. This guy directed, produced, I think also, but he's involved in this documentary Moment of Contact, an event that happened in Brazil with close contact with direct aliens, and it's just mind-blowing. They also speak a lot about, actually he goes chronologically on events, on sightings and first contact, second contact. He explains the first encounter, second encounter, and all this kind of theoretical stuff. For UFO fans, it's amazing. It's all this, the full interview is non-stop alien theories and alien facts and things and all these kind of interesting things that makes me realize, and I guess many of us, that we are so close to that confirmation that aliens do exist. So I do hope you enjoy it. It's amazing. I give it 4 nuts. And yeah, go and check it out. So, and now on to Dave Smith. I love when Dave Smith comes along because he's in the same lane kind of Russell Brand. He's a stand-up comedian that's very involved into news and journalism and all of the facts and everything that's going on in the world, basically politically. So every time he comes on, there's a lot of stand-up comedy, there's a lot of politics. I was very tempted to timestamp this episode because of all of the interesting things that they speak about, the war in Ukraine and COVID and pedophilia ring and so many cool interesting topics, and super funny as well, obviously, because it's stand-up comic. And man, you're gonna love this episode. Dave Smith is the man. 4.5 nuts for this episode. Super cool. Definitely check it out. So, and now on, let's go to Miss Pat. Miss Pat, she's a stand-up comedian, and she has a TV show where she tells her story. She had a terrible history, terrible childhood. She was pregnant at 13 and then pregnant again at 14, and messy abuse and all that stuff. So her story is quite inspiring, and she's funny as hell. She's a stand-up comedian. It's a very personal interview, though. Most of the information is about her life, her story, her success, her show, her family. It's mostly about her, so no topics for people who want to know about conspiracies and all this stuff. Definitely not your interview, but if you want to laugh and you want to know more about her story, definitely check it out. I give it 3 nuts. She has a pretty interesting life story, and she struggled a lot, so I'm pretty happy for her success, and yeah, she definitely deserves it. So, and now on to Dr. Aseem Malhotra. I hope I'm saying that name right. This guy, genius guy. He's a scientist, biologist. He specializes in I think nutrition, most of it. When he was young, he was also controversial because he was exposing sugar and how it's a lie that sugar is not good for us, like the scientists in the 50s say, and they explain about this deal. $50,000 were paid to the scientists in the 50s to convince people that fat is bad, sugar is good, so we could keep consuming sugar. And he was one of the ones that exposed that. So he has been very controversial. Now it's all about COVID. He's exposing all of the dirtiness and the corruption behind COVID and in the government. He's British, so it's mostly British government and combination, of course, with the US government and all that stuff. Super cool interview. mind-blowing when it comes to conspiracy. Definitely this is the interview to timestamp this week because of how important it is for all of us to know everything. We have to wake up, open our eyes, and realize how fucked we are being by the government. It's crazy how they're manipulating us and how they're letting us pay for everything and then take all of the damages while they pay for nothing, get all the profits, and they don't have any consequences for their dirty, corrupt, fraud and actions that kill millions of people. So yeah, definitely, please, if there's one episode that you have time to check this week, please make it this one and share it to everybody. 5 nuts, crazy important, crazy interesting, and definitely check it out. So, and now on to the timestamps with this amazing interview with Dr. Aseem Malhotra. Again, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. So before we start, let me remind you to give me a thumbs up and a like, subscribe, and the bell and all of that stuff, and share me with your friends who like the Joe Rogan experience but don't have a lot of time to check everything out. And yeah, I decided to do this interview because of how eye-opening it is about all of the corruption and all of the dirty monkey business that happened during COVID. So they speak a lot about that. They start talking about his credentials, and back in the day when this is a doctor that has been demonized all his career. He started with sugar and tobacco when he was saying that this is not healthy, but some scientists got paid to say the opposite. So he's been fighting for this for all his career. He got demonized because of that, and now they're demonizing him again because of COVID. So all of these reasons they talk about, medicines and stuff that he was involved with, they moved to COVID and COVID corruption, everything that has to do with COVID. Amazing, super interesting. They moved to sugar and tobacco. They explain in deep all of that as well. They moved to life expectancy, so the current, the past, and how the life expectancy age has changed and increased. They moved then to myocarditis, and of course related to COVID, and they end with more COVID. So super interesting interview related to what just happened, the pandemic that just happened, and how we got fucked in the ass by the government and by big pharma, of course, regarding all of the lockdowns and all that stuff. So 100% crazy, 5 nuts interview. Check it out from start to end. Super interesting. It's gonna drop your jaw and it's gonna piss you off a little bit. So enjoy. And that is a wrap for another JRE in a nutshell. Thank you very much for checking out my videos, my channel as usual. Share me, like me, subscribe, put the bell and all that stuff. I'm very busy right now, so I'm missing some weeks, and some weeks I can, and all that stuff is quite busy. So push that bell so you know when I'm releasing new episodes. I will try to do as best as I can not to miss a week. And yeah, I hope you like everything. Don't forget to stay until after this so you can check out the quote of the week. And yeah, I'll see you next week, guys. Peace.
And also, if there's such a disconnect, Joe, between how patients and the public feel, and they are now not trusting or believing the medical establishment, that's not good for medicine. It's not good for democracy. It's not good for government. For societies to flourish constructively and progressively, people need to be able to trust each other. And you can only trust each other if you believe people are telling the truth. So we are heading down a very dangerous path, until we can release the world from this corporate tyranny. This is the battle we face, the one of truth versus money, materialism, and dare I say it in some ways, psychopathy, and spiritualism, right? And we need to go back to understanding, what does it actually mean to be human? What does it mean to be a good human? What does it mean to lead the good life? And that is underpinned by also basic values: honesty, integrity, empathy, compassion.